Hi, I am filming this intro and outro at the same time because I forgot to film the intro earlier in the week because I just jumped into this little craft hobby and totally forgot to do it. So if you see me in the same outfit, it's because I'm doing this on the same day. In this video, we are going to unlock a new craft. I wonder if I should just call this that type of series, like Unlock a New Craft with me or something. I don't know. But we're gonna be unlocking a new craft today. And this craft I've been seeing I saw someone on TikTok do it, and I saw someone do it on Xiaohongshu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Please forgive me if I pronounce it incorrectly. Or Red Note. So I've seen this in two places. Side note, Red Note has so many different types of crafts on there that I haven't seen before, and I am so excited about it. So expect to see a bunch of different things because I keep finding really cool stuff. So we are going to be making little tiny guys, just little guys, because we all love a little guy, and they're gonna be made out of resin. The first video I saw of this, it was this nail artist on TikTok who had like a bunch of leftover hard gel for sculpting on nails, and they decided just to make like little figures or whatever out of it. And I thought that was the cutest idea. I have all the supplies already. I do all my own nails. And I like taught myself how to do it through various tutorials on TikTok. So I've gotten a bunch of nail supplies over the years, and I have a bunch of hard gel, and I was like, well, I have the hard gel, I have the UV lamps, I have all the little like doodads and stuff. I could easily make this at home. That's what we're doing. We're making a bunch of little guys out of resin. So we're gonna just jump right into it because I was really excited. I can show you the materials that we need for this type of project, or at least what I used. I used a solid nail glue gel like this. You'll see in the video how like thick it is. I used some pan pastels, which are like soft pastels. I also used mica powder. Okay, geez. A UV lamp, and then just a bunch of little nail stuff that I have laying around. So yeah, let's go make some little guys. So the first most important step of all is to wear gloves, because you can get contact dermatitis from dealing with resin too much if you're just touching with your bare hands. So wear gloves when you're doing this, please. But this stuff is like I don't know, it's very pliable. And so I had a few of these little things that I've collected over the years. So I was just pulling them out and making little balls. Here's the mica powder, all of the colors that I have. And I decided to do a test one first just to see what would happen if I added the mica powder, made it up into a little ball, and then put it into the UV lamp. I wanted to see if it would actually harden. And the good news is it did. So I decided to continue onwards. It seems like this works best with ball-shaped things. At least that's what I found. So I just started rolling up a bunch of little balls, trying to figure out exactly the shapes that I wanted and making sure that I had enough gel and that it was the right size that I was looking for. I don't know, I was just kind of messing around and feeling out my supplies first. Before I cured it, I remembered I needed to put in a little keychain thing because I wanted these to be keychains. So once I stuck that little post in there, I did have to reshape my ball because obviously pushing it in changed the shape. So I pushed it in, made sure that the shape was correct, and then I cured it. Into the oven it goes. There it is. Cook away. Once it fully cures, it's supposed to be super solid. I found that it was much easier to work in pieces, like making the body, curing it,
then making one limb, curing it, making the other limb, curing it, etc. Because that way, when you were putting pressure on the body or something, your fingers aren't making indentations and messing up the shape that you were so lovingly trying to craft. It was so much easier to work this way. I didn't have to worry about like fingerprints or marks or anything on the body once I got the shape that I wanted. All I had to focus on were just the little pieces that I was sculpting. I also kind of found that less is more with this. I kept having to break down my shapes into even smaller pieces. Like the arms, I really only needed a tiny bit. Maybe because the figures were so small and I wasn't anticipating how small they actually would be. But I really didn't need a lot for like all of the little limbs and tails and ears and everything. Just like the tiniest little dollops of gel. Also, I should mention having a clay tool like this purple tool that I'm using was essential, I feel like, especially if you're making small little guys. Your fingers are too fat and big, so you need something that is very precise and very tiny, and I used both sides of this tool pretty often. I also do want to note that every single time I get the shape exactly how I want, I cure it. So, for example, that ear on the left, once it was done, I cured it and then moved on to the ear on the right. That way I didn't have to worry that my fingers were going to squish it or anything, once it was exactly how I wanted it to be. Once I got the final shape done, I cured the whole thing for 60 seconds to make sure that it was really fully cured all the way through. And then I tried to figure out exactly how I wanted to add color and facial features. The girl from TikTok, she just used like pencils and stuff. So I tried my watercolor pencils at first, but it just wasn't dark enough for me. So I went back in with nail polish. I have a tiny little palette that I got off of like Amazon years ago that is a bunch of random colors of gel. And so I just pulled that out and essentially just used it like a paint palette. So I drew on the mouth with a tiny little brush with some black nail polish, gel nail polish paint. And then initially I colored in the eyes, but then I decided that I wanted to add little black crystals for the eyes instead. I'm sure you could use acrylic paint or something as well, but the beneficial thing I found with using the gel nail polish was that it also cured under the UV lamp. So I could also basically cure it in place once I got the shape down. The glue is also nail polish glue for little decals and stuff. So everything I was essentially using was just for nails. So I stuck these little gems on and then cured that, and there's my little face. Also, you can layer on top of the gel and it does make it a little more 3D. So I did that with the tongue. And then I grabbed my mica powder and started brushing on the color that I wanted. Because this is a gel, the gel I was using, you need to use rubbing alcohol to get it to not be sticky once you're done. But the good news with it being sticky is that if you put on this like mica powder, it kind of sticks to the surface, which is great. So you don't really have to worry about rubbing it off a lot. So I just buffed in color onto this little guy. I decided he was missing something, so I added a little bow from a nail art kit that I have, and then I just covered him in resin. I did this in parts so that the resin didn't goop around. So I coated the front part in resin first, and then cured it, and then did the back part. And the first of the little guys is done. Now let's do the next one. Since we did a Pomeranian for the first one, obviously because I'm a Pom mom, I decided the next one I wanted to do was another breed that I've been obsessed with lately, which is the Pekingese. The next thing I wanted to try was I had this big pot of just regular clear instead of the shiny, sparkly other one that I had. So I wanted to try to just put some powder inside of it to see if that would work. And it did, although the one thing that I was potentially concerned about was that it might not be fully cured in the middle because it's not really translucent anymore. So I'm worried that, for example, this little pug that I'm working on might not be fully cured in the actual center of his body. I think it's still technically okay because everything else is cured on the outside, and then I did end up coating it in resin as well. So as long as it doesn't crack or break, I feel like it should be fine and it wouldn't expose raw resin or like uncured resin, but I'm not 100% sure. So because of this little pug was the only one I did where I colored the resin and then cured it, and I was just a little concerned. So the rest of them I did end up leaving clear because then I knew at least it would cure all the way through. So just a little FYI. Now, if anyone has any information on this, leave it in the comments. If you know that maybe if I add powder or something that it still does cure all the way through, then cool, then that's great. But I just didn't know, so this is the only one I made with this technique where I added the powder inside of the resin and then mixed it and then cured it. Well, this one and the other Pomeranian, I should say. And then I do another Pomeranian as well with limbs left over from this pug. But then you'll see the other ones are all clear. Now this one was a little bit different because I made it in 2 parts now. I did a head and then a torso and then the limbs. This is a little bull terrier. I was referencing my little mush puppies that I did. It's 2 videos back. That's where I was getting all my little ideas for these different dogs. But this is the little bull terrier. I thought he would be kind of fun to sculpt. And then I decided that I shouldn't just do some dogs. I should maybe do a kitty. I am a dog person over a cat person, but that doesn't mean that I don't like cats. I have a cat, it's BT, but I'm definitely more of a dog person. But I figured making a little cat would be fun too. So I made BT. I was going to stop after BT, but I just had to make one more. So I made a little dachshund. I thought that this would also be a really fun shape to sculpt. I did this in 2 parts as well. I did the torso as one long orb, cured it, and then added the snoot. And that's about it. So let's move on to the glamour shots.
I'm back. Wow. What a fun video, and multiple days have passed. Except not in this part, because I've literally filmed these back to back. Time has passed for you, but not for me. Anyway, let's talk about these little guys. First of all, let me just say, I could make these all day. Like, I had so much fun. Obviously, you can tell because I just kept making these over and over again, and I would have made more. I was just starting to run out of this, and literally I could just keep going. They were so fun. It was really relaxing. It was really fun. I just put on like a YouTube video or something in the background while I worked, and I just made little guys just over and over and over again. I literally couldn't stop. I only stopped because I was like, I have to do other things. I can't just continue to make these little guys over and over again. But these were really, really fun to make, and I feel like I could make like custom ones of people's pets, which I feel like would be super fun to do. I don't know if I will offer it or not, because I don't know how much I would charge for something like this. They're so small, but they are custom. So in a way, I feel bad charging like $50 for like a tiny little keychain, but at the same time, it is like one of a kind custom piece, little sculpture. I don't know. Tell me down below what you think, or what if I were to offer this as something people could get, how much do you think is a fair price for something like this? Because I genuinely have no idea. I personally think that this was a pretty easy thing to make. The gel is like, in a way, like it's forgiving and it's not forgiving. So you can keep working it and keep shaping it and it won't dry, right? Because it's a UV gel. So you can keep shaping it, and then literally once you get the shape you like, you just like throw it into the UV lamp and it'll dry it, which is great. If we compare to my previous video, I still have things that are drying to this day. This is not fully dry yet. She's not fully dry. She's getting there, but she's not fully dry. And it's been like 2 weeks now. So I have some things that, you know, between the last video where it took forever to dry and then this one where you can just throw them in the UV lamp, it cooks them, they're done, they're dry. You don't have to worry about it. And that was great. So once you get the shape you like, you just fry it and then you're good. You know, you can even do like flash curing for them. I would do it so that it would hold the shape in place a little bit. If I needed to fix something, I could kind of like shape it a tiny bit more and then put it in for longer. And then once you put it in and you cure it for even longer, then it's like really solid. So that was really cool. In a weird way, I want to make like bigger figures, but also I think like this type of stuff is actually pretty expensive, especially if you were to make it in bigger quantities. This works better with like smaller stuff. But a part of me is like, oh, it would be really cool to make like a bigger thing out of like a solid gel like this. I had a lot of fun on this one, and I might make more of these just on my own time for fun. Let me know down below if this is something that you would try, and if you also would want like a little custom little guy like this of your pet, and how much you think I should charge for something like this. As usual, all of my links for things are down below in the box. That's like the links to the people that, you know, inspired me for this project, as well as like my website and social media and all of that type of stuff. Okay, that's about it. Goodbye!